The night tightens its grip across the tundra. Wind combs the snow into sharp ridges, and the temperature slips far below what exposed flesh can tolerate. In this silence, movement becomes costly. Heat is currency. A red fox crosses the open ground, its paws barely dimpling the crust, then stops. It lowers its body, curls its tail across its face, and becomes still. So still that breath fogs only faintly into the dark. Nothing about this scene looks like survival, and yet this is survival distilled. Across winter landscapes from boreal forests to Arctic coasts, foxes do something that appears paradoxical. They don't flee the cold. They don't dig deep shelters or migrate away. They remain. They endure. They allow the world to freeze around them while they hold their ground, conserving energy with precision that borders on invisibility. Today, we're diving into why foxes choose to freeze into winter's harshest night, how evolution has shaped their bodies, behaviors, and metabolism to make stillness a powerful strategy, and what this quiet endurance reveals about life at the edge of physiological limits. The decision to stop moving on a winter night is not hesitation. It is a calculation. For a fox, motion is expensive. Every step through snow compresses ice crystals, breaks crusts, and exposes warm tissue to air that steals heat instantly. In temperatures plunging below -30 degrees Celsius, even short bursts of activity can drain energy reserves that may not be replaced for days. So, foxes often choose stillness, not as surrender, but as a finely tuned survival response, shaped by millions of winters. Field biologists working in Arctic Alaska and northern Scandinavia have documented this behavior repeatedly. Red foxes and Arctic foxes, when faced with long periods of darkness and severe cold, reduce their activity dramatically. GPS collar data show extended intervals where movement nearly flatlines during the coldest hours of the night. These are not moments of sleep alone, but of controlled immobility. The fox remains alert, senses tuned outward, body arranged to conserve every possible unit of heat. Posture becomes critical. The fox lowers its body close to the ground, reducing exposure to wind. Legs tuck beneath the torso, minimizing surface area. The tail, thick, densely furred, wraps across the nose and paws, acting as both insulation and a heat exchanger. Warm air from exhaled breath is trapped and partially re-inhaled, conserving moisture and warmth. Infrared imaging studies have shown that, despite brutal ambient temperatures, heat loss from the fox's core remains remarkably stable in this position. This stillness also intersects with predator avoidance. In open winter landscapes, movement attracts attention. Wolves, lynx, and large birds of prey patrol these environments with heightened efficiency against white backgrounds. A motionless fox, its fur blending seamlessly into snow or shadow, becomes difficult to detect. Survival here is not just about enduring cold, it's about disappearing into it. Importantly, foxes do not rely on shelters the way many mammals do. They may use shallow dens or windbreaks when available, but these are often insufficient against extreme cold alone. Instead, they carry their shelter with them. The insulating power of fox fur is extraordinary, composed of dense underfur overlain by longer guard hairs that trap air and repel moisture. But insulation alone cannot solve the energy problem. Without behavioral restraint, without the choice to freeze in place, heat would be lost faster than it could be generated. This behavior is not reflexive, it is flexible. Foxes adjust their stillness based on wind speed, snow conditions, and hunger. During storms, they may remain immobile for hours. On calmer nights, they move cautiously, stopping often to listen beneath the snow for rodents. This stop and freeze rhythm defines winter life, allowing foxes to hunt without hemorrhaging energy. Young foxes learn this through consequence. Juveniles that move too much burn calories they cannot afford. Those that fail to master stillness often do not survive their first winter. Over generations, natural selection favors individuals capable of restraint. Animals whose nervous systems, muscles, and instincts are calibrated not for constant action, but for patience. In the frozen night, survival belongs not to the fastest or strongest, but to the fox that knows when not to move. A fox does not survive winter by shutting down. Its body remains awake, responsive, and metabolically active, even as the landscape locks into ice. This is the paradox at the center of fox survival. Enduring extreme cold without the escape routes used by many other mammals. No hibernation, no long-distance migration, only a body engineered to function at the edge. At the heart of this ability is fur, not as a simple covering, but as a complex thermal system. Fox fur ranks among the most insulating mammalian coats on Earth. Beneath the visible layer lies a dense mat of fine underfur, trapping air in microscopic pockets. Above it, longer guard hairs create a barrier against wind and moisture. Snow often settles into this outer layer without melting, a sign that body heat is not leaking outward. When snow remains frozen on fur, heat loss is minimal, but insulation alone is not enough. Heat must be protected where it is most vulnerable, the extremities. Foxes rely on countercurrent heat exchange in their legs and paws, a physiological design shared with Arctic birds and marine mammals. Warm blood flowing from the core travels downward alongside veins carrying cold blood back up from the feet. Heat transfers internally between vessels before reaching the surface. By the time blood reaches the pores, it is cool enough that little heat is lost to the snow, yet, still, warm enough to prevent tissue damage. Thermal imaging studies of Arctic foxes walking across ice reveal something striking. The pores barely register against the frozen ground. To the environment, they are almost invisible heat-wise. This allows foxes to stand or lie directly on snow without the rapid heat drain that would debilitate less adapted mammals. Unlike hibernators, foxes maintain a high-quality metabolism through winter. Their internal temperature remains stable, their muscles ready for sudden action. This readiness is essential. A fox may need to explode into motion instantly, to escape a predator, to seize prey herd beneath the snow, or to relocate when weather shifts. Entering torpor would introduce fatal delays. Instead, foxes fine-tune energy output. During long winter nights, metabolic rates drop slightly, just enough to conserve fuel without impairing awareness. Hormonal regulation plays a role here, particularly thyroid hormones that adjust metabolic intensity based on season and food availability. This seasonal modulation allows foxes to burn fewer calories while staying functionally alert. Even fat storage is managed differently than in hibernators. Foxes do not accumulate massive reserves. Carrying excess weight would hinder mobility and hunting efficiency. Instead, they rely on frequent, opportunistic feeding during periods of availability, followed by careful conservation during scarcity. Their physiology assumes unpredictability and is built to ride it out rather than escape it. These adaptations reveal an evolutionary choice. Foxes evolved not to avoid winter, but to inhabit it fully. Their bodies are not pause systems, waiting for warmth to return. They are active systems tuned for cold performance. When a fox freezes into the night, it is not fighting winter. It is operating exactly as designed, alive, alert, and sustained by biology refined for conditions where survival leaves no margin for waste. Winter transforms the world into an accounting problem. Every movement has a cost. Every meal must outweigh the energy spent to obtain it. For foxes, survival depends on mastering this balance with ruthless efficiency. As snow deepens and daylight vanishes, prey becomes harder to access. Rodents tunnel beneath the snowpack, insulated from the cold, but hidden from sight. Birds migrate or reduce activity. Carrion appears unpredictably, often contested by larger scavengers. In these conditions, the fox cannot afford constant hunting. Instead, it adopts a strategy built on precision, patience, and timing. One of the most studied winter behaviors in foxes is their ability to hunt beneath snow using sound alone. The characteristic pounce, leaping high and plunging headfirst into the snow, relies on acute hearing and spatial memory. But this behavior is used sparingly in deep winter. Each leap demands a burst of muscular power, rapidly burning calories. Studies tracking Arctic foxes with accelerometers show that successful pounces are often preceded by long periods of immobility, during which the fox listens, calculates distance, and waits for optimal conditions. When prey is scarce, foxes switch tactics. They follow polar bears to scavenge seal remains, trail wolf packs for leftovers, or patrol coastlines for marine carcasses washed ashore. These strategies minimize energy expenditure by exploiting the work of others. It is not opportunism born of desperation. It is a stable part of fox ecology, especially in Arctic environments where collaboration with chance is often more reliable than hunting alone. Inside the fox's body, winter scarcity triggers metabolic restraint. Fat stores accumulated in autumn are mobilized slowly. Blood glucose levels are tightly regulated to prevent muscle breakdown. Unlike animals that enter prolonged fasting states, foxes must remain capable of rapid movement. So, their physiology prioritizes preserving muscle function over extreme fat conservation. This balance allows them to respond instantly when food appears, even after days of limited intake. The choice to freeze during the coldest hours fits directly into this economy. Nighttime temperatures often plunge far below daytime lows, dramatically increasing the cost of activity. By remaining still through the worst cold, foxes reduce energy loss when hunting success is least likely. Movement shifts to crepuscular windows, dawn and dusk, when temperatures are marginally higher and prey activity increases. This strategy is visible in long-term population studies. Foxes that survive severe winters are not those that hunt the most, but those that waste the least. Mortality often peaks not during storms themselves, but in the days that follow, when animals exhausted by excessive activity can no longer meet metabolic demands. Winter survival, then, is not about endurance alone. It is about restraint. Foxes do not conquer the cold by constant effort. They survive by understanding when effort is worth the cost, and when stillness is the only profitable move. In freezing landscapes, energy is life, and foxes, more than almost any other small carnivore, have learned how not to spend it. No fox is born knowing how to survive winter. The ability to freeze into the cold, to ration movement and energy with such precision, is learned as much as it is inherited. Young foxes emerge into the world during seasons of abundance. Summer and early autumn offer warmth, prey, and long days for exploration. Play dominates their early lives, stalking siblings, pouncing on leaves, chasing insects. These behaviors look frivolous, but they are rehearsals. Beneath the play lies the gradual wiring of sensory systems and motor control that will later determine survival when mistakes become lethal. As temperatures drop, learning accelerates. Juvenile foxes begin to shadow adults, observing when to move and when not to. In the Arctic, researchers have noted that inexperienced foxes are far more active during early winter, traveling greater distances than adults and expending significantly more energy. Many do not survive. Those that do adjust rapidly, reducing movement and adopting the still, compact postures seen in seasoned animals. Memory plays a critical role. Foxes build detailed mental maps of their environment, locations where rodents are likely to tunnel, areas where wind scours snow thin, paths frequently used by larger predators that may leave carcasses behind. In winter, when visual cues are limited and mistakes are costly, these internal maps reduce the need for exploratory movement. Knowing where not to go can be as valuable as knowing where to hunt. Cold itself becomes a teacher. Foxes learn the thresholds of their own bodies, how long they can remain exposed before heat loss accelerates, how wind direction alters thermal stress, how different snow textures affect movement costs. This learning is not abstract. It is written directly into survival outcomes. Individuals who misjudge conditions often disappear from the population within a single season. Behavioral flexibility also distinguishes foxes from many cold-adapted mammals. When winters are mild, foxes remain more active. When winters turn severe, restraint increases. This adaptability is partly genetic, but strongly shaped by experience. Long-term studies comparing fox populations across decades show shifts in winter behavior corresponding to changing climate patterns. Foxes are not rigidly programmed. They adjust strategies within the limits of their biology. This learning extends across generations, indirectly. Mothers that survive harsh winters are more likely to raise offspring, passing along not only genes, but early behavioral cues, timing of activity, den selection, responses to storms. Over time, populations become finely tuned to local winter conditions, even within the same species. Freezing into the night, then, is not just a physiological response. It is a learned behavior, refined by trial, loss, and survival. Each winter acts as a filter, preserving the knowledge embedded in bodies that endure and erasing those that do not. In the quiet stillness of a fox curled against the snow lies not instinct alone, but memory. Of winters survived and winters that claimed others. There are limits to stillness. Even the most finely tuned body cannot pause forever in a world that continues to change. For foxes, winter survival has always existed within narrow margins. Their adaptations, behavioral restraint, thermal insulation, metabolic control, evolved under conditions that were harsh but predictable. Cold arrived, snow deepened, darkness lingered, and within that structure, endurance paid off. But in recent decades, those patterns have begun to fracture. In many northern regions, winters are becoming less stable rather than simply warmer. Sudden thaws break snow crusts, then refreeze them into ice. Rain falls where powder once muffled sound. These changes alter the energy equation. Ice layers block access to rodents. Wet fur loses insulating efficiency. A fox that freezes into place during extreme cold may wake to conditions where its learned strategies no longer function as expected. Researchers studying Arctic fox populations have observed this tension firsthand. In years with frequent freeze-thaw cycles, mortality increases, not from cold itself, but from starvation. The fox's strategy of waiting out the worst conditions assumes that prey will still be reachable afterward. When that assumption fails, restraint becomes risk. There are physiological boundaries as well. Foxes can conserve heat, but not indefinitely. Prolonged food scarcity leads to muscle loss, immune suppression, and reduced reproductive success. Unlike hibernators, foxes cannot simply opt out of winter. Their survival depends on a continuous thread of energy intake, however sparse. When that thread breaks, biology has no contingency plan, and yet, foxes persist. They continue to occupy landscapes that appear incompatible with small carnivores. This persistence forces scientists to confront a deeper question. How much flexibility exists within evolved systems? How far can learning and behavior compensate before physiological limits are reached? Some answers remain incomplete. We still do not fully understand how foxes regulate metabolism at the molecular level during prolonged cold exposure. The neurological mechanisms that govern behavioral restraint, knowing when not to move, are only beginning to be explored. Even the insulating properties of fur, long studied, reveal new complexity under changing environmental conditions. The fox curled into the snow is not a symbol of conquest over winter. It is a living negotiation between heat and loss, movement and stillness, knowledge and uncertainty. In that frozen posture lies a truth that extends beyond foxes themselves. Survival in extreme environments is rarely about domination. It is about alignment, matching biology to reality with as little waste as possible. As winters change, the outcome of that alignment is no longer guaranteed. The night remains cold, the fox remains still, and the margin between endurance and failure grows thinner, inviting questions science has not yet fully answered.